Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Monday, July 16th, 2018. Looking at fire potential impacts for the next few days, today we'll see some dry thunderstorms across portions of Nevada, Idaho, and far northwestern Utah. These thunderstorms will be mostly fast-moving. We'll also see a mix of wet and dry lightning across the yellow highlighted areas on the map. As we move further south into southern Nevada, southeastern Utah, and the Arizona Strip, those storms will trend much wetter where the moisture is quite deep. As we move into Tuesday, we will see that thunderstorm threat shift to the east a bit. The storms across the far south will continue to be quite wet, with a mix of wet and dry storms further east. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we will see hot and drier weather across the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin, and with holdovers from recent lightning possible, that is definitely a concern. Over the past 24 hours, there was a fair amount of precipitation across the Great Basin. You can see almost the entire area did see some moisture with those storms. If we look at the lightning map on the right, there was quite a bit of lightning across Nevada, Utah, and the Arizona Strip, with a few strikes in Idaho. There was moderate initial attack yesterday. Fire activity has picked up across the Great Basin a bit, especially further north where things have dried out. Over the past 14 days, it's kind of interesting to compare how our precipitation has kind of shifted over the past 14 and 30 days. So the map on the left shows the past 14 days, and the map on the right shows the past 30 days. You can really see how precipitation has decreased across the north over the past 14 days. We've really dried out where, earlier in the month it had been quite wet across the northern part of the area. So we've really shifted from our dry areas being in the south to being in the north. As far as our current ERCs, they've continued to drop pretty dramatically across the south. You can see many areas below the 50th percentile. At the same time, they've continued to rise across the north, which is no big surprise considering how dry it's been across the north over the past 2 weeks. Just kind of continuing to look at the ERCs, you can see the ERC trend from GB7 on the chart on the top right. You can see how that ERC is now above record levels. So really a pretty fast rise across the north, and kind of the opposite across the south. You can see how GB35 took a pretty sharp nosedive towards those lower ERCs, starting to recover now, but it's well below normal. The satellite this morning shows some moisture in place across the Great Basin, and we will see some storm activity this afternoon as a result of that moisture. So looking again today, you can see no really dry air in place across the Great Basin, and as a result, we will see those thunderstorms across much of the area. Again, the main concern is across further north in the Great Basin where there is a potential for dry lightning. You can see those areas highlighted on the significant fire potential map on the right. Looking at today in more detail, the map on the left shows where those storms are expected. And again, the storms of main concern are those further north where they could be dry. Relative humidities will be the highest across the south where the moisture is pretty deep. But again, these relative humidities are a little lower than what we've been seeing for the past while. And taking a look at the wind forecast, that's a map on the left, you can see there is a potential for some isolated gusty winds across portions of western and central Nevada this afternoon. As we move into Tuesday, we do see a little bit drier air make its way into the Great Basin, and as a result, the thunderstorm threat will kind of minimize across areas in the north part of the Great Basin. With that drier air moving into the northwest, you can see from that weather map on the left, thunderstorm activity will be mainly confined to southern and southeastern Utah and the Arizona Strip, where ERCs are much lower, and again, most of these storms will be wet on Tuesday. Winds will be quite light on Tuesday, nothing too significant as far as the winds. As we move into Wednesday, we continue to keep that dry air in place across the northern part of the Great Basin. We'll start to see winds increase a bit. We'll look in more detail in a second here about those wind speeds, but there is a disturbance that will lead to some increased wind speeds across the Great Basin. So looking at Wednesday, again, if we look at the weather map on the left, you can see really with that drier air in place across the north, the thunderstorms will again be confined pretty far south, and our relative humidities will be much lower across the north as well. You can see, the low teens expected tomorrow afternoon. And then taking a look again at that wind forecast, there is a potential for some gusty winds across portions of southeastern Idaho. Right now, those forecast wind gusts are in the 20 to 25 mile an hour range. So definitely something to keep our eye on as we are expecting lightning there today. Over the next 3 days, nothing too impressive as far as precipitation accumulation, especially compared to what we've seen over the past couple of weeks down south. But again, the wettest part of the Great Basin over the next 3 days will be the southern part of the Great Basin. As we move into Thursday, we keep that dry air in place across the north. We'll continue to see moisture across the southern part of the Great Basin. And as we move into Friday, that moisture, again, looks like it's going to start shifting north again. This could bring the potential for showers and thunderstorms again, further north into Nevada and southern Idaho. As we move into Saturday, a pretty similar pattern with increasing moisture across the south, a little drier across the north. Then as we move into Sunday, that moisture looks to shift east a little bit, but it does look like we'll keep that moisture around across the south for at least the next week. Looking at the 7-day precipitation totals, it does look like we'll pick up a little extra precipitation across the south in that 7-day period. In the 8 to 14-day period, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for above normal temperatures across the entire Great Basin. What is to note is that below normal precipitation forecast for the north. That's could be problematic as we've been dry across the north for quite a while, and we are starting to see those ERCs rise. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.